right, we are live. We are going to talk about our calling, or what is our calling, and really like the meaning of life. Have you ever wondered what the meaning of life is, Jason?
Yes.
I think we all have. This is my oldest son, Jason Patrick Stewart. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining us for 10 minutes at 10 a.m. He doesn't really know what he's going to do on here, but I just wanted to have him with me as we're doing the 10 minutes at 10 a.m. But we're talking about calling, and it's such an important thing to know. Really, what are we called here to do? And I say it like this: there's a saying that Mark Twain has made popular. He actually came up with it, I believe. That says there's the two most important days in a person's life. The first one is actually the day that you're born, and then the second one. You know the second one?
The day you find out why?
Yeah, the day you find out why. You heard that before, right?
Yeah.
The day you find out why. Yet, I don't know about you, but has, kind of been, I say, like elusive to figure out, exactly what am I here for? One day you might think this, one day you might think something else. Have you?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that there's a lot of different avenues and ways of trying to get to where you want to be and trying to figure out what you want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
there's so many options available of what you can do. It can get confusing.
It can get confusing. You're absolutely right. It can get confusing. You have different people talking to you, different saying, different things. So what we want to do today is kind of show you something I learned even recently of how we can determine, how you can determine, what are you called? What are you called here to do? And it's actually pretty simple. So just keep watching as we're going to go through. Now, there was one story, and I shared this before. I don't know if you remembered this, but we all have purpose. We all have a reason why we're here. The Creator didn't create any of us. God, our Creator, our Father, God didn't create any of us to be here for no reason whatsoever. So we're here for a purpose and to fulfill a purpose. But the story is, there was like an ecosystem, like let's say in a forest, and you have all different animals and the plants, and then you have the insects as well too, and they all work together, not realizing that they're working together. But there were some scientists, and they took out like a small insect out of the ecosystem. In that ecosystem, they took out one small insect, and what happened was, now the other insects that ate that insect couldn't get nutrients, so they had to do something else, and they actually started to die in population. Then the other small creatures that relied on those insects, they were out of food now too, so they actually, I think, did something else as well too. And I'm improvising the story, obviously, but and then there was, as you went up the chain, everyone was affected by this one insect being removed from the entire ecosystem, and eventually the whole area was desolate, and there was nothing there because of this one insect being removed. It's the same thing with our lives, that we may not understand the purpose of it or why we go through certain things. However, the Creator has something in place that we just don't see, how we connect with each other. Like, I'm here for you, you're here for me, we're here for people, you can see online, we're here for our family. And there's something that we need from each other to keep us all like flourishing and thriving. So with that, it kind of helps us to determine, I'm using the word calling, what we are called to do. Because a lot of times we don't see it for ourselves, and it can make life. And why I'm here is because, I'm here, I said, I help people to live. I've been around death so often, thousands of deaths that we see a year, and it just points me towards life and helps me to see life in a different way. And I want to help other people as well too, to really value life and just utilize life as much as possible, really use it up as much as possible to get the most out of it. So anyway, we're here for a purpose, we're here for a reason, and we all need each other to even determine that and figure out what that purpose is. So one thing I learned recently is that your calling, what you're called to do, part of it can be determined by what other people see in you. So they actually can literally call you to do something. Like, you've been called to do artwork, okay? So you have a calling for artwork, and this is like literally they're calling you, but then this is something that they see the gift in you. They see that you have the ability of art in different forms, and they're calling you to do something, and they recognize it, and that gives you a clue or a hint as to what your calling is as far as art. Now, what's the different ways that you've used art?
Painting tips, with clothing, digital work as well.
You did children's face painting too, right?
Yeah, painting. Yeah.
So many people have called you for art because they see it in you. And actually, you don't even know I put that video up of what you did just, I think it was Monday on Facebook. So people have seen it and commented on there as well too. So you have a calling for art, and they help you to identify that. Now it's for you to use that calling and, for one, not even say take advantage of it, but just, develop it, grow it as much as you can. And then also, we're going to say something else in a little bit, but that's part of your calling. For me, we work in the death industry. And I could say, okay, we have a business in the death industry, but then people call me to do the message of comfort at a funeral. And it's something I wasn't even thinking about, but they saw something in me to kind of conduct the service, do a message of comfort. Even when people have transitioned, before they've transitioned, they've called me to even be with people, to help them, even what they call like end of life, so to say. Or even when someone has first transitioned, and to help the family and just be there. So that's part of even my calling as far as helping people. And that's why I say I help people to live, in light of death, or in spite of death, or just after death, but even before death as well too, because we just are aware that death is coming. So again, we're giving you examples of how calling can be determined, but it's really by other people. And again, that's why it's so important to have other people around, by other people identifying stuff in you and literally calling you to do something or asking you to do something because they need your help with it. All right. So hopefully that helps you. Just if you consider for your life, what have people asked me to do that maybe you thought it was easy, you thought it was simple, but then you realize, maybe now hopefully that there's something they saw in me, and this was a calling. This is when you get called. What are you supposed to do when you get a call?
Answer it. You
got to answer the call. So when you're called too, you got to answer that call, and that's your responsibility. But the Lord is showing you that's something you can do. Now, I always love to relate this to Christ, and I think it gives us a great example for us in our lives as well too. He always gives us a great example. But he in his lifetime he had many gifts and talents. What was when he was here on earth? He was making the blind to see. He was causing the lame to walk. He was raising the dead. He had so many gifts and so many abilities. However, that was all great. That was all wonderful. And people were calling him for that. He was looking for him. But then ultimately, he gave all that up, and he answered the call of the Father, and he died on the cross. So he answered a higher calling, the ultimate calling. So even for us in our lives as well too, yes, we have some gifts, we have some abilities, and I'm not saying we have to physically die in that sense, but we need to realize that it's good for us to help other people, but ultimately the Lord is calling us to use it for His glory and to answer to Him above everything else. Okay, so again, it's about finding your calling, starting to determine your calling, and there's different callings, but this is just one way we can start to figure out what are we here for, and even the meaning of why you're here. Maybe the part of the ecosystem that you create. All right, so from here I actually can't see the time, but hopefully we're still within 10 minutes at 10 a.m. If you want to say anything, but I'm gonna end it. Thanks for watching. I end with you get better at what you keep doing. So I encourage you to practice doing good things. All right, do some good things today. We're gonna see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for no more than 10 minutes.